Hello everybody, welcome to the Generic Cappy YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I am Generic Cappy, and in today's YouTube video, I am reacting to the Everybody 1-2 Switch, including the games trailer. This is technically the second trailer we've seen of Everybody 1-2 Switch, but the first, I'm assuming in-game, we get like our first like in-game footage of, everything, at least officially released. This is like a trailer, I guess, a first in-game trailer. Which is surprising because the game does release in approximately 4 days. Today's Tuesday, it releases on Friday, so it's surprising this is when we get the first trailer. And reading through some of the previews, I think maybe a lot of people doubted this game more than they should have. That doesn't mean the game is going to be like amazing or anything, but some of the previews have given it some praise in terms of the entertainment value it offers. I haven't watched this trailer yet, so we'll probably see like some of the things they talk about there, but I did pull up 4 different previews that I was able to find that we can read through and just like see what they have to say about the game. I'm sure there's a bunch of other previews out there. Yesterday they also did the Pikmin 4 previews, so they probably did this like around the same time, time frame, maybe at the same meetings that they do the previews at. But yeah. Let's just watch the trailer, see what, I'm assuming we're going to see the mini games, because it says including the games, and then maybe you'll get, some more details about the game. We still are missing, presumably, a couple of details, such as maybe the settings, if this game's online. I don't think it's online, based on what they've said, but I'm sure they're going to confirm it here. It's probably going to just say local or something, and then, yeah. Let us just watch it and see what this trailer really has to offer in terms of Everybody 1-2 Switch, content. Two teams, including the games. This is some nice music. Okay, so these are the only Joy-Con controller games. Balloons? Whoa. Balloons. Hip bump, okay. That was kind of funny, but okay, relay race. Samurai sword fight. Ooh. Joy-Con hide and seek. This is the one mini game that I think I am the most excited for, just because it's like reminiscent of the Wii U, or not the Wii U. The Nintendo Wii Party game, because that was really fun. So these are just the mobile games. So you play Bingo. I guess that makes sense why that's a mobile game. Ice Cream Parlor. That's kind of interesting. Color shoot. Ooh, that could be fun. Auction. Games with Joy-Con controllers or smart devices. Okay. Or up to 100 players. So we got statues. Quiz show. Oh. Ninjas. That's interesting. UFOs. This is the one thing I saw at that convention. This is kind of funny. Jump rope. Whoa. Jump rope. Squats. So it's like the fire game. Or like the shootout game. Kitchen timer. Musical chairs. Okay. Complete solo? Ooh, wait. So this is like an online component, I'm guessing? Maybe? I don't really know. That was interesting. I don't really know what that last segment was. I guess you could play Bingo online. Or maybe you could play Bingo with a bunch of other people online. I don't really know what that means. I guess, I mean, we'll see when the game comes out on Friday, but yeah, so that actually was a pretty good trailer. You know, it showed off all the mini games. I'm assuming that's all the mini games all together. We probably can go to the Nintendo website after this and see what else they have. That's the one thing I did not pull up, but I do have the 4 previews, which they should be coming up. Okay, there you go. So I have one from Nintendo Life, one from Video Games Chronicle, one from Polygon, and then one from GameSpot. You know, so it's a pretty wide variety of different previews. So we will start with the Nintendo Life one. So their title is Hands-On. Everybody Want to Switch is harmless fun, but no Wii Party. So the beginning of their preview just talks about, you know, this is the sequel to 1-2 Switch, and you know, based on what we heard about it last year, it's pretty surprising that, you know, we heard like it's being released, but you know, still pretty fun. They talked about the first game, and then they went on to there. So they said that there's 17 mini games, which I believe is probably accurate. I'll recount after the fact, and I'll put like a message on the screen right here. You know, but they say, like much like the predecessor, Everybody 1-2 Switch is a party game that sees you going head to head against another team in a series of silly mini games. The mini games are new, and this one includes a slightly off-putting horseman named Horace. But apart from that, it's 1-2 business as usual. While the launch title, well, okay, so they're talking about the Switch here. So, while the launch title was all about showing what the Joy-Con was capable of, the second entry throws mobile phones into the mix, allowing up to 100 people the chance to pick up and play using a smart device instead of needing their own Joy-Con. Right off the bat, this edition is great. The party genre ultimately boils down to cooperative play with a willing group, and this has been difficult for Joy-Con only games such as Super Mario Party, where unless you have the controllers to spare, some players have to sit out. So that is something I like, because, you know, I guess the comparative game that we have to this is Jackbox, and you know, I think you have like one you can use. Obviously, you can just use all your phones. I believe you have to use all your phones, and then maybe like one controller to control the game on whatever you're playing it on. But you know, I think this is a good decision by them. I'm gonna talk about, you know, actually I can probably talk about it now. I think that it is possible that you could play this game like on streams and that stuff. You know, I think that's pretty interesting. You know, it's interesting. Like, they haven't ever officially talked about it, but in the video that they brought out, or they released right before the Nintendo Direct last Tuesday, so it's been exactly a week since they released that video. But last Tuesday when they released that video, and I guess that kind of indicated it also wasn't going to be in the Nintendo Direct that followed. And I see a lot of people, you know, so it's a little tangent, but I've seen a lot of people say it was a good decision. I agree. I don't think this game really would have matched the flow of the Nintendo Direct. You know, we saw mostly like big Nintendo games. You know, we saw WarioWare, you know, Super Mario RPG, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, an untitled Princess Peach game. We got the port of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. You know, we got that stuff. You know, I'm not really sure if this might have taken away from, you know, some of the, because this probably would have gotten a segment, or at least like a headline of sorts. So, you know, it might have taken away from some people's, you know, especially this would probably been the best trailer to show in that Direct. I don't know if they would have had a space for it. So yes, they talk about what we just saw pretty much in the trailer, where with the mobile capability, it uses the device's motion sensors to create a Joy-Con-like experience for all, rather than relegating mobile users to a small subset of games on offer. 4 of the 17 minigames can only be played with Joy-Con, which we saw. That was like the Samurai game, you know, those type of games. And then it leaves a choice of up to 13 titles for grabs for those who do not have controllers to go around. And then of those, you know, 13, 4 of them can only be played with the mobile phone, which is also something we saw, like Bingo, and like that ice cream game, which that's pretty cool. Which I guess that also does make sense, you know, thinking about it, because that ice cream game, like, you have to jot down, and like it's like I'm assuming you probably, whoever gets the closest to what type of ice cream flavors were there, and like how much of those ice cream flavors were shown. So that makes sense. Like the mobile games are probably like ones that you can't really have other people seeing what you're doing. Of course, regardless of how you play, like a title like Everybody Want to Switch lives and dies on the strength of the minigames. This is a smaller package than the original, though this is reflected in the lower price point of 24.99 euros or pounds, 24.99 pounds, and then 29 and then $30 pretty much, compared to the original's 39.99 pounds and $49.99 or 40 pounds, $50. As is bound to be the case in a party game like this one, some of the games are more fun than others, but the 6 examples that we were able to see in the preview, we noticed more hits than misses. In the original 1-2 Switch, the best games were ones that pushed the Joy-Con's features to the limit and showed what the kid was capable of. Ball count using HD Rumble emulates several small balls in a box as an obvious example. While the level of innovation doesn't seem to be quite as big a part of the sequel, Everybody Want to Switch once again excels when it makes the most of the technology at its disposal. So we see one game, which is Color Shoot, which I believe that is that's the other mobile game that's exclusive. Where you have to shoot a picture of exactly a color in the room. I'm assuming. We see they show like a color on the phone. You have to like get something in your room that's like similar to that. And then they also talk about musical chairs, which they say that they might not be the most original concept, but it's nice to see an objective other than let's see who can shake the controller the fastest. And this does exist in Balloons, which is one of the they mentioned Balloons and Relay, which are 2 of the Joy-Con exclusives. And then they say what was noticeable across the games in Everybody's 1-2 Switch. Nintendo has attempted to make a party game for everybody. There are physical tasks, as mentioned above, silly WarioWare-like games like Hit Bump, where your objective is to butt literally your opponent out of the ring, and then games that with a less active objective like Quiz Show or Bingo, which they say that replicates Kahoot and Jackbox. Of the lower key games, we were only able to try Quiz Show, which is it's pretty explanatory, but we could see how the variety of games has catered to different audiences in an attempt to capture some of the Wii Party's family magic that hit Nintendo, pretty much Nintendo Wii and Wii U in the late 2000s, and then the early 2010s with Wii Party U. I think that was like 2013. However, Everybody Want to Switch cannot quite live up to this greatness. We have only sampled a small taste of games so far to offer. And while many of them have proved an all-out good time that we can see working in a party environment, Color Shoot, musical chairs, ninjas, etc., there was an overwhelming sense of the lack of longevity to become an instant classic like Wii Sports or Wii. Okay, so it lacks the longevity to be able to become like a party game like Wii Sports or even Mario Party Superstars. Plus, of the 17 games on offer, there are several variants on a standard form. Both Balloons and Ninjas have multiple variants, and we can see that format becoming even more. You can see that format becoming tiresome after a couple of times around the same track, which I guess that's pretty. You play the variants maybe 5 times, you probably do get a little bit bored of them. Hopefully there's more variants of the games, especially like the later games that they're not talking about yet. Of course, these games are made by the group that you are able to play with them, and while those of us taking part in our preview could not match up to the camera silly confidence of the influencers who were featured in the latest First Look Party trailer, we quickly found that there was a lot of fun to have with select games once you have warmed up to the idea and all let go. And then the fact that the sequel has seen a price cut of the predecessor certainly makes it a more attractive prospect if you're looking for something to keep a group of 100 people entertained for an evening. I mean, I'm not really sure if you're gonna have 100 people around for one game, but from what I have seen of the title so far, or what we have seen from the title so far, we can't imagine that Everybody Want to Switch will be going down in the history books as Nintendo's books of Nintendo's best party games, even if it does have a literal horse in the race. So I mean, they talked about a lot of positives in that one. You know, some negatives. Obviously, longevity is a big issue. You know, maybe the lack of variety, maybe the lack of mini games. You know, that stuff. There was some, you know, big games. You know, that really stuck out to them. Something that did not. Um, they like the ability that, you know, 13 out of the 17 you can use your mobile phones or your Joy-Cons, which is something that I feel like. Um, when you're like playing online, because I don't know if you're gonna have 100 people all in like, you know, consistently being able to play the game at once. You know, because that requires a lot of different, you know, things to go right. So I assume, you know, with those 13 mini games, like it would be those, you could probably stream those online. You know, maybe not the ones that require you to like, take a picture, because you know, that might be a little difficult for everybody. But you know, for like a streamer to have like a small community, and like they want to do like a Friday night, everybody 1-2 switch session, I think that'd be cool. That's just one thing I've thought about since they announced the game, and you know, I feel like you know, this is a game that works for that for the most part. So when it comes to the next article, VGC does mention a lot of the same things. They bring up that there is a team contest mode, which splits the groups into 2 teams to complete a random selection of games across either a 20, 40, or 60-minute sessions. And then they said the most enjoyable in our session were undoubtedly those that utilize smartphones, which is pretty important. I feel like, you know, only 4 of them really focus on Joy-Cons. And then they say from this point of view, when your phone is connected to play these mini games, it acts as a second screen at points reminiscent of the Wii U gamepad. They bring up the quiz game. They bring up Ninja Stars. They like the color search game, which is, you know, it looks pretty cool. But you know, I feel like that one you probably do want to have a lot of people in your, you know, your room or like around you, because you know, it probably would be a little difficult, you know, if you're trying to do it online to like, you know, handle like, maybe some people don't have like those things in their room anyways. And then they explain it. So this color, you get like a color, and then players have a short time to use their phone cameras to take a picture of the color, sending them scoring across the room for matching items. And then they bring up that games that rely on motion, such as the ninja title, in which one player has to swipe a sword to deflect others. Other players' ninja stars felt far less compelling. The sword player is supposed to listen out for the sound of star attacks and respond with a swipe of their phone, but our session descended into random flailing in the air until somebody won. I guess that's also understandable. You know, some of these games, I feel like to a certain extent we could also see this like in the baseball game from the original 1-2 switch. I feel like that worked fine, but you know, there was some confusion. I felt like at moments, I haven't played 1-2 switch in a very long time, so you know, I might be speaking to something that, you know, only I experienced, but I feel like the baseball game, you know, maybe, well, that's the only one I really remember, that like you had to like listen and like you had to rely on like your senses and like everything that's going around you to really, you know, capture like what you're supposed to do. And then they finish off with, so from our brief play session, everybody 1-2 switch appears like it will have more appeal for large family gatherings compared to small groups of friends. Of course, all of this should come with a caveat that cooperative titles are always more enjoyable in controlled environments such as press events or trade shows. There's a reason Evolve won the best game at the E3 2024 before its launch reception when it released, because the co-op partners you get are far less agreeable than those in person. So, you know, that's fine. I feel like they're a little bit more positive. I think this is the article that brought up, no, it's not. There was like one article, maybe it was the Nintendo Life article, and I just skimmed over it. But they did bring up like the reception of the game. Maybe I didn't pull that article up, but they did bring up like the reception, or like what was rumored to have been the reception of the game beforehand, and you know, like how it was rumored to actually be, and then Nintendo wasn't, like what Nintendo was really considering to do with the game. But this article from Polygon pretty much highlights the same things. They talk about, you know, the original game. They said that everybody 1-2 switch feels more enduring than the first game based on the half a dozen mini games they were able to play at a recent Nintendo event in New York City. Everybody 1-2 switch certainly goes further than the 2-player games of 1-2 switch, inviting up to 100 players to join mini games. And then they talk about, you know, this is fairly similar to Jackbox Party Pack, which I guess in Jackbox, you can have like up to 8 players all at once, I feel like, and then you had like another thing where you could have like a bunch of people like put like answers, like vote on answers, and I think that was pretty interesting. You know, stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool. And then they bring up like the difference, some of the mixture in the gameplay styles, which I feel like will appeal to a lot of people. I think that's why it's also being brought up a lot. And then they said, one of the first mini games I tried was called Simply Balloons. My team of 4 went up against another team of 4 in an attempt to inflate an on-screen Mylar balloon by using a Joy-Con like a handle of a bicycle bump. The goal was to inflate that balloon to its largest size without popping it. The motion-controlled inputs of me and my teammates were combined, meaning we had to quickly communicate to each other when to stop frantically miming our pumping motions. It was fun, quick burst of gameplay as we raced to fill the balloon to its near breaking point. And then they mentioned the multiple variants that they have, and then there's the Joy-Con based minigames like Balloon, which we saw in the trailer. They're physical, like, you know, they have to be physical in the sense that, you know, you're swinging around the Joy-Con. They bring up also the Samurai Sword Fight mode. They brought up Hip Bump, and then on-screen people in rabbit costume. They talk about like Hip Bump. And we see I think this screenshot in the actual trailer that they just released. Games that everybody want to Switch that can be played with smartphones include a bizarre alien game, which we saw. The person that did this preview was one of more than 16 players thrusting their arms up and down in time with Alien Chance in one of the stranger competitive video game moments of their career. Okay. I feel like a lot of people are gonna have these type of moments, not as just like a journalist, but you know, in their lives in general. The aforementioned color matching game was easily the most fun and creative of the bunch, which I feel like that will be, you know, a pretty fun game, you know, because I guess you're competing with a bunch of people around you. You know, I guess a rule you can really make is like maybe if I get that item, you can't use it or something like that. You know, when you're playing locally, I think that'd be kind of cool. They said the most practical demo from Everybody Want to Switch that I saw was a simple quiz game. It can be played with either Joy-Con or the smartphone, and it asks players to answer questions as quickly as possible. The general knowledge questions are multiple choice with only 2 options. There's nothing as challenging as say Trivial Pursuit. Everybody Want to Switch even lets players to create their own custom quizzes, a feature Nintendo showed off by crafting a quiz themed around the hands-on event. That quiz included some light Nintendo trivia and a question that asked us to remember which floor we're on, which is, you know, that's pretty cool. I like when games do that, like where you can interact with it outside just the mini games. Like you can kind of like build up your own mini game. And then the final preview that I had was the one from GameSpot, which it's pretty similar. They said they were able to play 5 mini games, showcasing the different styles of play. Some games could be played with Switch Joy-Cons, others with mobile devices, and then some games could use both of them at once. They said their group was around 15 people, a much smaller number than, you know, you could have up to 100, but it did get the point across when you're playing with like this is the video we saw last week. But they said the first game they played was Balloons, and then Hip Bump, and then they moved to some of the games that support smartphones, starting with Color Shoot. This one was presented like you were the new hotshot photographer of a New York fashion magazine, and your first big gig was to match the latest stylish colors. They said that it seemed pretty sensitive to the elements like lighting condition, but the interface judged the photos in a way that was easy to understand. That seems pretty cool. And then they did not like the UFO game. I definitely can probably see why, because that was probably like the most intensive game. You know, with like the Balloon game, you have teams, so you're not doing like everything all at once. You know, and then with like a Hip Bump, I guess that could be fun, but it's also not like something that's super long. The UFO game from like they did like a gameplay preview in at a Comic-Con in like in one of the European countries, I believe, and in like at that at that Comic-Con they showed off the UFO game, and that one lasted a very long time. So I could definitely see why, you know, it could become an issue because you're doing so much and you have to do it for so long. You know, they said that that they were far from a peak physical specimen, but by the end it seemed like everyone was wiped out regardless of their fitness level. And they said they would never want to play that mini game again. Which I mean, I guess I can probably see why, because that does seem, you know, it could be like one of the lesser ones of the package. And then they also talked about the quiz one, which they basically talked about, you know, same thing that the Polygon article talked about, where, you know, they did a quiz, and then they did a quiz that was more oriented to what was happening at the event. And then their last words of this their preview was, all of this is wrapped in a presentation that is meant to be comical and cute, centered around the host, Horus the horse. Horus may be jumping on the horse mask meme a few years too late, but the actual hosting animations have some of the visual effects that made him look like a mixture of live action and surreal anime creature, and it was enough to elicit a few smiles from me. It is a click to say that a game that a game is a mixed bag, but in the case of Everybody Want to Switch, it is very apt. The games are definitionally disconnected from each other, so some are stronger than others, and some will be better suited for different groups. There are 17 base games in all, which they say base games. Maybe we'll get more games. I mean, we'll see, right? And then they talk about like they have variations. So I guess we can have like maybe like around 48, you know, including the variations. I think it'd be kind of cool maybe if they add like another 13, you know, bring it up to 30. You know, this game has been rumored since last year, and based on what we heard last year, it seemed like it was finished. So, I mean, I don't know what, you know, this really what's going to mean for the game. Getting like future updates. I kind of feel like it probably won't, but it would be cool if it does. Based on our limited playtime, I can't say what the ratio of good to bad is, but I have to hope that it's mostly quick diversions like Balloon, or the clever uses of smartphone functionality like color shoots. I guess they're saying like they hope most of the games are like that. The more games like UFO there are, the worse the package will be. Like any party, it just takes one rude guest to ruin the whole thing for everybody. And I like that they capitalized the EU here, because, you know, everybody's Want to Switch. Everybody. That is all the previews I had, but, you know, from what you could pretty much get from them, like this one is titled Everybody Want to Switch is a mostly okay party game. Nintendo's new minigame collection is decent enough if you play in a large group, but you may need to know which games to avoid. And, you know, obviously the one that they noted was the UFO game. The Polygon article was titled Everybody's Want to Switch makes minigames massively multiplayer. Nintendo's Want to Switch sequel is much more than just a tech demo, which, you know, that speaks to a little bit more positive energy in terms of, you know, what this game means after Want to Switch. You know, I guess it does a lot more with what is available to it. And then we get with the VGC article, Nintendo's new Joy-Con party game is much better with a smartphone. And they talk about it has shades of Wii U about it. I guess that alludes to what they mentioned later, where having the smartphone allows you to like have a second screen like the Wii U and the Wii U gamepad. And then the final article that they that I was able to find was the Nintendo Life article, which I already talked about. You know, they said it's harmless fun, but no Wii party. Personally, I am gonna get the game just because I feel like, you know, it's a part of Nintendo's history to a certain extent. You know, it probably won't be the best. You know, it'll go down as just basically probably just a game that you can probably play with your friends, and that's like in your family, and that's pretty much what it's supposed to be. You know, I'm gonna see if people like try to do the online thing, because I think that'd be kind of cool to, you know, go on Discord with your friends. You know, you have maybe like 10 friends, and you all, you know, play the 13 that you can do. You know, if you have some friends around you, you can do that, and then with the 13, or you can do that, like, yeah, you can do the 13 mini games, and then if you have any friends around you, you can do the 4 extra that are available with only Joy-Cons. So I think that's all really cool. I think it's gonna be a fun experience just to play through it. I mean, it doesn't have to be the best game in the world to be fun. So I'm kind of excited for it. Obviously, it's not my most anticipated game. And then obviously past Friday, it won't even be on the list because it'll be out by then. That spot goes to both Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Pikmin 4. And then once Pikmin 4 comes out, the next game after that will be obviously Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and the Super Mario RPG will be on that high list with WarioWare and Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man 2 in that list somewhere. But that is all I have for you all today. It looked fun. We have 17 mini games at least on the base before any updates, or without the knowledge about how many variations there be for each game. So it could be more fun in that way. But that is all I have for you all today again. So I hope you all are doing well and staying safe. Make sure to do what makes you happy, because it rhymes with generic happy, and we'll see you on the next one, which will probably be either a stream or a clips of a stream. My Pikmin 1 gameplay stream. I did my first episode of it, which is 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna try to split that into maybe like 5 parts, so it's a little bit more digestible. But that's something we can talk about later. Again, I hope you all do makes you happy, because that rhymes with generic happy, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.